happy to be with all of you here today. So we have a great session. With me here today, we have Nicola from 50 Skills and myself.
Hi.
So my name is Christian. I'm the co-founder and CEO at 50 Skills. And Nicola.
Yep. And the idea behind this session was to have a really quick, simple show and tell, basically, of how we can build a workflow based on an HR process that everyone kind of uses and understands, and show how we can build a process live with a prompt within sort of 30 minutes. So hopefully you kind of get a good takeaway of how easy it is to create something that's automated, that can streamline the employee experience, make life easy for you within HR. So that's kind of our plan for the day, really. And it'd be great to know where you're calling in from, if you can add that in the chat. And there'll be time for us to answer some questions. So at any point, just add whatever questions come to mind in the chat and we'll find time to answer them.
It's actually our first Build Before Brunch session, so it's going to be fun. Hopefully we're able to do everything in the 30-minute slot. We prepped some interesting things, but for you, I hope you all have a nice cup of coffee and you just kind of sit down and watch us go through it. Instead of going through like hundreds of use cases, we're actually just going to do one use case. Nicola, I think you did some prep on it, so it's gonna be fun to see how I manage sort of unprepared to see how you tackle it. But I think that's also the reality, right? Like when you're trying to build something, we want to make it as real as possible for you to see just how would we tackle a certain challenge. That being said, don't hesitate to share with us who you are, where you're calling in from. If you have certain ideas and challenges, please put them in the comments, because the next Build Before Brunch, we kind of decide them week on week, and we take on the task that people want to see us build. So that's awesome. And we already have here in the comments, Nicola, it's awesome. We have people from Stockholm and Denmark, the Nordics, the UK, other places. You're calling in from Cardiff, right? So
Yeah,
it's going to be, I'm calling in from Reykjavik, Iceland. So we have a bunch of people all over the world here calling in today. Also, if you have questions, like put them in the comments, and we'll try to bring it into the conversation as we move forward. But I think that's it. I think we just get going with this, Nicola, right?
Yeah, perfect. So the process that we're going to be discussing today is the employee equipment request process, which I think, every business has. Either you need tech equipment, you need health and safety equipment, employees need things at times, and they're going to request stuff. And obviously, the bigger the business, the more challenging that becomes. So we thought this was a really good process to kind of start our series with, to be able to showcase how simple it could be to automate this.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, and this obviously can also be different depending on the size of the company. And so from all of you who are calling in, like some of you might be with a small startup, where decision making is sort of, pretty straightforward. Others might be with a large enterprise where it can often be way more cumbersome, and sort of like when something goes off budget or something is different, like how do you tackle those things? And we can kind of show you how you can do it differently depending on where what you're dealing with. So I think it's interesting. But tell me, so basically, Nicola, equipment requests. So basically, if you're an employee and you need something at the company, like your computer broke, or your key equipment or something, like how would that work today? Yeah, you have this interesting slide on this one here.
Yeah, so obviously, depending on the size of the business, but, in previous places where I've worked before, you don't necessarily know where to go to even, or who to ask, especially if it's something that's sort of ad hoc, and maybe something's wrong with your computer, or you need something new for your desk, or something for external, people who don't work in an office, and maybe out on the road. Maybe you don't necessarily know who to ask, and HR is often the person that you kind of go to with questions when you're not really sure, or maybe you've kind of gone to IT to ask. And, by the time you've asked somebody, you're wondering sort of who's taking ownership of this? Like, if it is a computer, is IT going to order it? Do they have your address? Do they know where to send it to? Are you going to get updates? How long will it all take? And, being HR, you definitely don't want to be kind of responsible for managing all of those updates and communications and things manually. As this graphic kind of suggests, there's lots of different people who potentially might review whether or not a request is approved based on the needs, the spend, and the process for how that kind of is either reimbursed or whether the purchase is made internally on your behalf. So I think there's a lot of kind of branches and channels that could potentially happen based on the type of business that you have and the type of equipment that people are trying to request, essentially, to make their day-to-day work a lot easier.
Yeah, I think it's a great photo, and I think it's honestly like how many people feel about a lot of processes. They're just like, how do I mean, equipment request is one thing, but it could be like sometimes you, as an employee, just see something that makes sense to do for your company, but it might cost as little as $10 or 100 or 1,000. And like, depending on the size of that, like, what do you do and how do you tackle it? And equipment is one thing. Obviously, sometimes you need things to do your own work, but also it can just be certain sort of expenditures. And I don't know, like myself, like I'm a business owner running a business, and I've been part of all sorts of businesses before and helping other like various companies out. And to be honest, like they do it very differently. Like a small business, if I just take that example, typically I think best practices in those is to just have a rule where the if expenses are like smaller than a certain amount, just trust the employees to do it. But if that employee is like doing it on a repeatable basis, then you probably want to check just to make sure that it's all normal and working right. So you can decide what is that rule. Is that like less than $100 each time, or 200 or 500 or 1,000? And it just depends on the type of company you're running, what makes sense. But typically, like smaller companies have higher trusts on these things. For larger enterprises, it can be tricky. Like if you're 10,000 employees, to just say anyone can buy whatever they want with less than X amount, it can really quickly expand into something bigger than you expected. So I think just having checks and balances and the logical workflow for it makes sense. But let's go into like, okay, we're a company, we're going to build a workflow. How do we get going with this, Nicola?
Yeah. So also, it'd be great to know in the chat, how many tools are you using to manage this kind of process? Which stakeholders are involved? Is it you that's managing it, or is it IT? What sort of departments are responsible for an equipment request process? So it'd be great to kind of get some info in the chat from you guys.
Yeah,
But
like whatever you put in the chat, we can make that part of the process. So if you put something in, we can literally take that part and just make that part of how we build it right now with you guys. But that being said, I think we should just get into it, Nicola. Like just go into the whole thing. So I'm going to be sharing my screen and just show you how you can kind of approach wise, like how can you think about building it, and then how can you actually just build the thing and make it work within the session time that we have here. So let me just show the screen really quickly here and share screen, entire screen here. And you should be able to see my entire screen right now, right?
yes,
So one of the things that we sort of had prepared for this one was a form that I'm going to move in here just a sec here. Let's open it up here like this. So it was interesting. Like Nicola, you prepared this one, right? So
yes.
this is like so typically when you're doing any type of process, what we recommend that you do is to have a sit down with yourself, with a partner, with an AI, and talk about it. Talk about how are you doing it today, and what is it that you don't like about how it works today, and some ideas of how it could potentially work better. That's it. That could take you 5 minutes. That could take you 30 minutes. That might involve you maybe saying, well, I don't really know how this works. We need to talk with, Jane in IT, or John in who's kind of, on finance or something. Bring them together and ask them questions as well. But that conversation, talking about how you do it today, how you think you might want to do it, things you don't like about it today, ideas that have come up. That is the starting point. And based on that conversation, you can record that conversation with just take your phone up, do a voice recording. You can turn that into a transcript really easily. And they take that transcript and you can actually put it into a system like 50 Skills or an AI chatbot to get an idea of how that workflow should work. So we're going to show you how you can do that. Nicola prepared this actually form before the session, which you can go into when the session is over to try it yourselves. And how it works is that it will help you build the request workflow just by answering a couple of questions. So I'm just going to put in my own name here, and let's just check this one out. I'm just going to put my name and email.
For anyone that wants to try it as we go along, the link should be at the bottom of the screen as well.
Yeah, so you can click the link right now and just do your own fill out to see how this will work. And we basically just answer a bunch of questions here. And when we're done answering them, it will create a prompt. We'll take that prompt and put it into the 50 Skills journey system, and it will literally create the whole workflow that we want to build. I'm just going to show you how that works. So let's go over these questions. What equipment can employees request? Let's just say they can request everything here, like laptops, monitors, keyboards, whatever we want. how do these requests start today? Like, how do people typically like start a process? Do they just send an email to HR or something? Or do they talk with someone on Teams or Slack? Is there like a portal? Like, what is it that people do when a process starts? And
Quite
in
a
this
few
case,
people in the chat have said using IT with a service desk or a ticket in Jira. So that's quite a popular one.
yeah, that sounds like a good one. We could do an IT ticket. We could do, there could be many ways. Let's just do an IT ticket for now, based on that feedback. Then we can have like request information. What information should employees provide? And they need to maybe net to tell you like who they are, maybe what department they're in, what item they requested, maybe the reason for it. Maybe there's like really high urgency, like my computer broke, I need to use it tomorrow. How much does it cost? And you can add or add more options, or just like pick whatever you want if it doesn't make sense here in the request information button. Approval, like if you request something in your company, do you feel like people need to approve it? Should a manager, like a direct manager, approve it, or should always just the finance department, or department head, or maybe there's just no approvals, it's just like notifying it and you can go buy it? Or how does it work? And in this case, let's just say the manager for easy reasons here. What happens after approval? Somebody approves this thing. Yeah, you can buy a new computer. What should happen then? Who should get notified? Maybe it depends on what it is. Like IT maybe needs to know if it's a computer so they can go buy it, or you get you're allowed to do it on the company credit card that you have access to. There's all sorts of reasons here. But let's just say IT gets it, and HR just and finance just to kind of have something, and the manager just to kind of add whatever options we want. A couple more questions, and then we're done with this one. Updates. When should the employees receive updates? When they have the request has been submitted, they probably should get like notification it's been submitted. If there's more information needed, when it's approved or rejected, maybe they don't need to know if IT is like sending this to procurement or something, or when it's been ordered. But it's sort of like, I think the top four here makes sense. And then final here, what should be tracked? And I think like in the workflow itself, it's good to just know all of the details. So let's just say when it's requested, all the decision making, like all the different things here. Let's just put the checkbox here. And then you're able to also just like put in a summary here. So for example, you could say like all the options that we've had here, you could say something like, my company uses a company portal, so it would also be great to have a form in the beginning that people can fill out. And it could either be a form or a ticket by IT that trigger this workflow. And you can just sort of put in whatever you'd like as details here to explain who you are and what your company is. And you can try this just right now. Just fill it out the same way I did, or put whatever you want. And when you click generate my workflow prompt here, what's happening right now is that we actually triggered a workflow. And that workflow is now going to build a prompt for us. And the prompt that we will get is basically going to be the prompt that we're going to build the whole thing with. So let me just show you how that works. Right now, I'm going to open up my email and check out the prompt that I will receive in just a second here. And open this one up. Now, while I do that, I'm going to share the screen again here. So let me just go build Before Brunch here and share the screen. Here it is. And for those of you who are filling this out, definitely try this out on your own. Just click whatever boxes you want just to get a feel for how this can work. And so, okay, it takes a few seconds for the email for the prompt to build the workflow. So while we do that, I'm just going to show you what's going to happen next. You can sign up for this platform here for free to try it out. It's basically just go to 50skills.com and you can just click free trial here. And no credit card needed or anything like that. And you can do this just later on today. And what you do then, you go into the product, you can just pick a workspace or any type of, and just click the create new journey button. So here I created something called, if I just go to the bottom here, where is it? Build Before Brunch somewhere. Or I can just do it right now and just build a new one. Brunch building here, create space, and it's creating this workspace where I can put this new workflow in. And I can just basically create journey here. I'm just going to call it equipment request. And now I'm going to show you how we can build this whole thing out ourselves. Now, there's basically two ways that you can build things. You can either go and just click add first step and build the workflow step by step. But the other way is actually just telling the AI what it is that you want to build. And so in our case, we already had a prompt created. So you could just go here and say, build me, build me an employer request, and kind of mention all the details that we just did in that survey. But the more detailed the prompt is, the better results. So I just got an email now sent here from. Let me just open this one up, and so I just got this sent. I'm going to zoom in on this one here. So here I just got an email, and I'm going to open it. So sorry, it's getting a little bit too big here. It's getting it smaller here. So I just got an email here that you can kind of do the same thing here. Your personalized equipment request built before brunch, and here it just says, we built the whole workflow for you. So you can just copy the top part here. You can just go all the way to the bottom. And this is a huge prompt. Okay, this is interesting, Nicola. So we just go here and just take the whole thing and copy. And when you're done with that, you can just paste that entire thing in here. And this will build the workflow. You can see how detailed this is. And the more detailed the prompt is that you put in, the way better the workflow itself will be. So if the prompt is not just like build me an employer request, if the prompt is something like you filled out a huge form that's going to create a prompt for you, or if you had a conversation with a colleague or multiple colleagues, then the quality of the workflow that will get built is going to get much better. And it's already doing some clarifying questions here. So the first thing is like, how should the external form be set up for intake? So the external form is like a form that you can fill out to trigger the whole workflow. You can put it on a company portal, or you can have just a standard link or something else. So it's just asking some clarifying questions. Let's just have a standard link here to make this simple. Then it's asking for approvals and fulfillment forms. How should managers and fulfillment owners receive them? And should they receive it with an email and a form link or a text message or something else? So it sort of goes into these details. And then for an AI review step, it's going to add an AI agent apparently to review the whole thing. What should we use? What models can you go for? And you can just decide the models here. If you don't know them, just pick whatever option. But you could also just say use the best models or whatever it is that you want. It could go for like the new Opus model or something like that. But let's just do here. It's recommending for over reasoning. So let's just do that one here. And so these clarifying questions can be really helpful because when we're explaining what we think we want, there's always so much detail that gets forgotten. And this sort of gives us the opportunity, like the AI, the opportunity to ask a couple of questions to make sure that it's building something that makes sense. And what it's going to do now is that based on this entire prompt that we just put in here, based on this entire prompt and the clarifying questions that we just answered, it's going to come up with a plan, a full plan of what it thinks it wants to do. And like it says now, I have all the information. Let me just create a plan here. And if you like the plan, you can say, go build this. And that can take anywhere from 20 seconds to 5 minutes, depending on how large of a request it is. But even if it takes a long time, you can still just keep the system open, and it will actually build the whole thing while you're looking at it. So you can see it getting bigger and bigger over time. So it's going to take us maybe one more minute here until we get the full-fledged plan out there. And maybe just one method I wanted to mention while this is loading. Like if you have, your process could be an equipment request, but it could also be something completely different. Now, again, if you would like to start thinking about how you build it, I really, really recommend that you just try and go and explain it with your own words here in the prompt to see what happens if you put something simple in. Like, hey, build me, you can see here the plan. So I'm just going to click build, approve it. But you can put something simple in here, like build me an onboarding workflow or offboarding workflow, or I'm having a barbecue 2 weeks for the whole staff. Like build out the workflow for me, and make it easy for people to sign up and and everything that happens next. But the real magic really happens when you're able to get these detailed prompts. And the only way to get these detailed prompts is to have a conversation, like sit down with your colleagues, do a recording on your phone, or with any type of if you have any of these AI note takers in meetings, like have one of them join, copy paste the transcript, and then simply say to this navigator here, to the AI navigator, just say,
Here's an entire transcript, 30-minute call of what we talked about with his workflow. Could you come up with a suggested workflow that would solve this for us? And you'll be amazed at how far this thing can build based on that. Now, it might not be the full ready version of what you want, because when you see what it builds, you'll realize, it doesn't know that this needs to go here and there. But you'll see like a workflow getting built that you can easily edit and make changes to. And by the way, while this is happening and it's building everything, you'll soon start to see the whole thing build out the forms and everything. If you can click them live while it's getting built. So now, for example, if you click the first form and you can click it while it's building and go for the exit, you can see that it hasn't done anything yet. But in a second, you'll see that it's now just building the whole thing out, and you'll see like the details coming in. And we have like a really interesting story from this. I think, Nicola, you were mentioning, like, we were going over like what are some interesting things that we've been seeing in the last couple of weeks. And there was a really cool story that one of our team members were sharing with us, which was that there was like an elderly home that just got access to the software 2 months ago. And they built like, I think 30 or something workflows, just like completely on their own. Like they've been able, like the HR operators, the HR team, they've been able to have a sit down and basically just, build out whatever idea it was that they had and kind of make it work. And I think that's pretty incredible. Like you don't have to learn that you can click these steps and, add actions and spin them together and connect them. You can just talk with an AI and it will help you get understanding of the platform way, way quicker than before. So it's starting to, finally, it's a little bit slower getting started than we had hoped for. So again, like usually when you build these, you just go and you put the prompt in and you get the coffee. But very soon we'll kind of see the AI building out the results here. Now it's editing the external form, which is what we trigger with it. So we'll see something go live here in just a few seconds. But while we wait, it will also be awesome for you to put in the comments, like if there's anything, like for the next session, like ideas of like how can you build something before brunch? How, like what would be the use cases that you're struggling with based on what I've explained right now? Like what would be challenging? But finally, we're starting to see some things here. So now I think it's already built the form. So if I click it now, unlike before, now it's filled out the entire thing. So if I preview this, like I could already share this link right now. And it's saying, hey, if somebody wants an equipment request, just put in your email, your name, the name of the employee receiving the equipment, department or team. And obviously here, it's just putting like a blank question. You could say, no, I want this to be a list. Here's the name of all of our departments. Or you could sync this with a system that gives you like a drop down with that. But this is pretty interesting. Like based on that prompt, it's just saying like all the things you want to request, the category of equipment that you're picking, all the specific items you might want, how many models. Like this is pretty detailed. Like this is actually way better than I thought it would be, Nicola. This is good. How urgent it is, why you need this, the business justification. Like these are pretty detailed things, right? And it's based on a simple format you filled out. Okay, people fill out this form. What then? Well, the form is the only thing that people would see. And you can literally like just copy it right now and I could send it to you and you could try it out. We could actually do that as the end of the workflow just to show people that this is for real. But you have the form here ready. You send it to employees, they fill it out, or you can put it on a portal or something. Or we could configure it in a way that there's like a ticket that comes from, you put a ticket into IT and that triggers this thing. All sorts of ways you can trigger the workflow to start. Well, once it's been triggered and it's started, what then? Well, people fill out the form. And the first thing that happens here is that the AI agent has built another AI agent, which is called the Equipment Request Reviewer. Now, this agent is currently using the ChatGPT 5.4 model. You could change what models it uses if you prefer Anthropic. All of these models are hosted in Europe, by the way, and all the security checks in place that you want to see. But what does it do? So it says here that you're an equipment request reviewer for, in this case, 50 Skills, but this would naturally be your company. And it's sort of explaining all the details here about how it should work. You should go over the requests and you should review the checklist and you should how you decide on approving things and when you should escalate and those sorts of things. So it's basically instructions for the AI as if this was an employee going over their employer request of buying equipment. And here you can see the prompt. Prompts is the stuff that we're all used to using when we open up our own Claudes and ChatGPTs. And this is pretty interesting because what's different about this prompt and what you're usually doing is that this prompt will do it differently for every person that filled out the form. So it's basically saying, hey, review this equipment request. And it's then going to look at who requested it, their email, who's receiving it, the department, the manager email, all the things we filled out in the form. That's now going to go into the prompt automatically when somebody fills out the request form. So all of these things will happen automatically. And it's going to ask these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 questions. And it's going to have the AI respond to those questions in a certain way. So here, is the request complete? It's basically going to say yes and no. Like this whole thing is just complete. It's a go. Is there any missing information? Just like a yes or no there. Approval path, like should it be auto approved or manager approved or finance approved? Like there's all sorts of ways here. So the AI is going to solve all of these questions before the next step is decided on. And then depending on what the AI thought about it, different things are going to happen. So in this case, if the request is incomplete, the AI just goes, interesting request, but this just doesn't make sense. We're not going to buy a new Mustang here or whatever the person is requesting. And it's just going to send an email to the employee with the reasoning. Like, hey, you were missing this information. That's why it got rejected. Well, there's some notes here. And in this case, it's suggesting that it should be fully automated. In this case, an AI would just look at the request and reject it. You could also have a human in the loop there, taking a look at why is the AI rejecting this? And you could decide if you agree with the AI suggestion. So that's like different options here. It says it's built the whole thing now. It's 6 minutes and 44 seconds. I'm just going to walk through it so you can see the whole workflow that got built. Now, if the AI comes to the conclusion that this request is complete, what does it do then? Well, it's then going to have all of these different branches trigger off on different conditions. Let's take a look at what these branches are. So, auto approve. If this is what it says here, a low cost accessory. So it basically says, hey, this is, let me just close the navigator here. If this is a low cost accessory, we're just going to auto approve this. Like just say, great news, it's been approved. Here's the item, the category, the quantity, go do it. And then it's going to send this fulfillment form to operations and IT. It's going to basically say, hey, this person, it's going to send an email first. Let me just show you this. It sends an email to whoever you want. In this case, it just goes to my email, but it would be configured to send it automatically to the right email for IT. And it's going to say, hey, here's an equipment fulfillment required for this person and this item. And it says in the email that IT gets all the details. And the email will have this link. And when IT clicks the link, it's going to basically see, hey, this person requested this, can you please tell us when it's been ordered or if it's in stock or if it's been shipped or whatever the status is, you can kind of save it and send it in. So it's an interesting suggestion that the AI came up with. And then once IT has filled that in, that's going to send a notification to the employee. Now, I'm not going to walk through every part of the workflow because that would take a long time, but you kind of get the idea here. You have an auto approval for low cost accessories. If it needs manager approval, that's something the AI feels, okay, this needs a manager approval because this might be more expensive. Sort of works the same way. The manager would get this thing to approve first, approve or decline. And if they approve it, it would basically do the fulfillment form the same way. Then it's like both the manager and finance need to approve it. So it's like 2 steps there. It could be escalated to the leadership team, or it could be, replaced direct to fulfillment here. So it just goes directly there. So we're basically allowing the AI to decide which of these categories belong there based on the instructions that we're setting for the AI. So this is an interesting one. So we're going to try now. Let's publish this. And Nicola, let's try and fill this out. Do you think we're going to be okay with it?
Yeah, I think so, if we do it pretty quickly. Also, if anyone has any questions, please put them in the chat. We can also stay late to answer anything or provide answers afterwards directly to you if there's anything that we haven't been able to cover in the session. As you can see, like, it takes a short amount of time to create a workflow, but obviously, by the time we've sort of explained everything, half an hour actually goes pretty quickly. So we'll quickly kind of show how that works in process. But obviously, if you have to go, by all means, the recording will be available and we'll send that to everybody afterwards as well. But yeah, any questions, please just add them in the chat and we'll find time to answer them.
And so I'm trying to fill this out as quickly as I can, but you get the idea here. And let's just do it. Submit it. I just filled out the form. It's now telling me what will happen next based on the workflow. It's going to be reviewed, automated, those sorts of things. And what happens is that you, as the HR manager, as the operator, you'll see all the people that filled this out. If you click them, you will see, just go here, details, who filled it out, when, why, all the details that they filled out. You'll see that the AI agent has reviewed this, and you can see exactly the prompt that went into the AI, and you can see what the AI did. In this case, I asked for a computer, and the AI is like, yes, this is completed. This needs to be approved by both the manager and finance. It's doing the flags. It's doing the review summary. It's putting the estimated cost band. It's doing the whole thing. And none of these other conditions applied, only this one. And because of that, an email has already been sent to the manager, and it's asking them to approve this thing. And if we approve it, let's just do yes. What will happen then is that the whole process will continue. I just approved it, and then that's why it turned green in color. And now it's sent it to the fulfillment center with all the details. Like, hey, this has already been approved by the manager in finance, and the fulfillment center can, kind of put in all the things. Let's just say this is, complete. Let's put it in today, and just for the sake of completing this, fill out the whole thing. And now an email gets back to the employee saying, hey, your equipment request has been fulfilled. This is the item. I forgot to fill out these things in the last part. If you have any issues, reach out. So this is basically Built Before Brunch, first session. I think we promised to do it in half an hour. I think we were around that time, right? I mean, we were able to do it, Nicola. Do you agree?
Yes, yeah. And I think obviously, when we're building live and we put the prompt in exactly how Christian kind of created it live based on the suggestions that were in the chat. So, it's also unpredictable to know exactly what that prompt will be and exactly how long that will take. But I think 6 minutes to create a workflow is pretty good, to be honest. You could go get a coffee, come back, see that it's pretty much created the whole thing, and then you can just go in and adjust the things that maybe don't fit quite right or you forgot from the original sort of description. One question, Christian, that we have is always about GDPR. And, concerns around that with AI. And so, why is it important to be able to kind of see the prompt and the response per the individual?
That's a great question. So I think like with GDPR, like what's really, and GDPR and just like also the European AI Act and other things that are happening. So we've tried to build this to make sure it follows the strictest compliance rules. And that's basically in Europe, the rules are the strongest. So that's the denominator that we're working with. So in our case, everything is hosted in Europe. There's zero data retention. You can pick models from Anthropic or OpenAI, and the services that we have with them are both hosted in Europe, making sure it's not storing the data or learning from it. But even if that's the case, you still need to know, where am I using AI as a company? Where is it being used? How is it being used? Why is it being used that way? What does it do every time it's being used? Now, if you give your employees access to let's just say OpenAI, ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, Copilot, whatever it is, they can just put whatever they want in that one. And there could be some rules around like the company policies and what they do and what they don't. But in this case, and that's great, I definitely recommend they try out with that. But in this case, what you're doing is that you're building a certain type of process, and every single person that goes through it, you'll be able to see the paper trail of where was AI used in terms of the AI in this example that we had is getting information about the equipment request. You don't have to put in information about the person. You can control which tokens go in. It's just information about the equipment request. You can give it access with integrations to all the tools that you currently have to see if you have something in stock or not. You can see exactly what conclusions the AI came up to. And I think the important part is having paper trail. The important part is saying, we have a log of every single occurrence of when we're using AI in our HR processes. You can check up where it was used for every single person, how, and the reasoning behind it. And that's super easy to do when you're able to log it for every individual moving through the process.
That's great. And perfect for compliance. You don't want someone sort of from a different team saying, well, what happened with XYZ, or why was this decision made, or any of those things. You've just got the paper trail already right in front of you, as you showed before, Christian.
Yeah, and why a decision was made is also really interesting. Because let's say, for example, in this request workflow, we were allowing the agent to decide if something is not allowed. It would basically it was able to automatically reject a request. And if it was approved, I think in all cases except for like really low cost, it was also auto approved. But all the other instances, it had a human in the loop. Now, what many people sometimes do is that they always have a human in the loop. But what you can do is that you can say, okay, the AI thinks we should move forward. And the AI gets a request 10 times or 100 times or 1,000 times. And it always comes to the same conclusion. You could do an analysis after you've done this 10 times or 100 times. You can see, if it's always coming to the same conclusion, if I always agree with it, if I feel comfortable with it, maybe I can take the human out of the loop in those occurrences. So that's like an option of how you can think about things. But here, at least you have the data to show for it. Instead of maybe having a human in the loop for every instance that comes up, you can, for example, for low cost acceptance criteria or certain types of basic rejections where there's like missing information, you can just have it fully automated. And I think as you start to add those automations in, you'll see productivity gains just ramp up really quickly. And that's why a lot of people also like these automated solutions with AI agents in between. But I think that's it for the session, Nicola. It was great being with all of you. If there are any additional questions, don't hesitate to send it our way. Let us know what you thought of the session. Let us know what you'd like us to build next. We're going to be adding a lot more use cases. There's thousands of workflows that you can build with this thing, with everything in the employee lifecycle from the moment somebody starts until the end and every type of request. So just thank you so much for being with us today, and have a wonderful weekend, guys.
Yeah, it's lovely to have everyone here. And if you want to book a demo or have a one-to-one session, there's a link at the bottom. We'll send the recording and some links and resources so that you can try out the form that we use for the prompt, and also sign up for a free trial if you'd like to. Thank you very much, everybody.
Awesome. Take care, guys.